Hello everyone, and welcome to another Taboo recommendation video. It has been a while since I did Taboo. I feel like I've done so many. I mean, obviously there are others that I haven't done, but they aren't necessarily ones that I want to do, because there's still some taboo things that even I don't like, right? So I don't necessarily want to make a recommendation videos for ones I don't like, but this is one that we're actually doing a part 2 for, breeding kink, which I feel like has been a really popular one lately because I've gotten recommendations to do this, and I checked to see the last time I made this, and it has been like 15-16 months since I did it, so I don't feel bad doing a second one, and it took me no trouble at all to find a whole nother stack of these to share. Now, I know some of you don't love there to actually be babies that come from breeding kink. Like, some people just like to enjoy the kink of it, and that's fair enough. For me, I do like there to be a baby that comes of it because that's what I find super hot about it. But there are a couple that I will flag them for you that are ones where they're not actually trying to make a baby, they just have the breeding kink in them. So when I get to some of those, I'll share. But we're going to go through these. I have, of course, quite a few paranormals in here because often, when there's fated mates, there is some breeding kink going along with that. But we also do have some dark romance and some, even one that's just like our regular contemporary one, but they kind of get off on that at a certain point. So let's go ahead and dive into these. And again, if you get through this and want more recommendations, I have a whole nother video with these in it as well. These ones, sometimes it can be tricky whether whether YouTube is going to share it or not. So please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below with your favorite. Also, if you want to buy any of these books, I do have the links to the Amazon down below. Whether you're going to get the ebook or the physical book, it helps out the channel if you use my links. So let's not waste any more time. Let's start with a few paranormals here. So we have Hydis by Amara Ray. This is book 2 in her Immortal Coven series. Now, this is a series that I have hesitated from recommending it too often because the 6th book has not come out and we haven't heard a single thing from this author in forever. I honestly hope she's okay. There's been nothing in her Facebook group, nothing on her Instagram, nothing. But I still had some of the best times reading this series when it came out. I think it was 2022 it was coming out. I think it was only last year. Yeah, last year. And so I still want to recommend these. So this cover was even done by Emily. That is so crazy. This cover was done by Emily Whittick. That's cool. I love it. Anywho, so this one is about Naya, who is the head of the Witch Coven, and Finrador, who is a part of they're against the Winter Kingdom. I can't remember what he's from. I don't know, but he's from a court, and the Blood King. Yes, he's a Blood King, and they're against the Winter Kingdom, which Naya is, I think her father is like the Winter King or something, so not great. Not great at all. But at the beginning of this, there's this situation where Finn is trying to find his fated mate, and he's trying to find the one who will help him be able to defeat the Winter Kingdom. That's what he wants to do. And it comes about that he realizes that Naya is the person who could do this, but because she's part witch, he would never take her as his queen consort or anything. So he plans to just have her breed her, get his heir from her, and keep her as a mistress, basically, which is a horrible idea because number one, she's his fated mate, and how fucking disrespectful is it that your fated mate be the mistress? Fuck off, Finn. That's how I feel about him to start. But he is that feral sunshine to the grumpiness that is Naya. And as things start to unravel and we really realize there's a lot more going on here than either of us think, he becomes so enamored with her that no matter what he's thinking he's going to do, it's not going to play out that way. So this one definitely has that breeding factor into it because he is trying to get his mate pregnant so that he has heirs. So all of our sexy times have that going on. Then we have an author who has quickly become one of my favorite monster romance authors, and she has this one series that is basically all of them have breeding kink in it, okay? They all do. So that is Lilan Lark, and she has this series that is called the Bathhouse Monster Romance. There's also, like, it has a few different names too, this series does, but like all of these books have like breeding in them one way or the other. Like Found by the Lake Monster, he's literally has his last chance to find a mate and have a baby before like he's not fertile anymore, which I think was very interesting to have like a, you know, a male monster like have a fertility window. There's also Ensnared by the Werewolf. This one, Belinda is trying to break a curse and she ends up on a date with a werewolf. Very interesting. There's also her Entranced by the Basilisk, is a MMF with, you know, snakes, and our heroine in this one. And so that one was really beautiful. And then her most recent one, Hoarded by the Dragon, it starts with a breeding situation that is accidental. I have talked about that book quite a few times recently. I loved it so much. So basically any of these by her have that going on in them, and I love it. I love them so much. There is also Yearning for Her by Tiffany Roberts. This one is about is it incubus or a succubus? I think the men are incubi, right? Yeah, he's an incubus. And he, of course, he feeds off of sexual pleasure, man or woman, it doesn't matter. He loves it. But then one day he like has this crazy attraction to this curvy, delectable human female named, what's her name? Her name is Willow, and his name is Kyan. And so he's lived his promiscuous life, feeding off of people's pleasure for all this time. And he has this one-night stand with Willow, who's just gotten out of a tough relationship. She doesn't want that. She's never really done one-night stands, but this incredibly sexy man, because he has a glamour on at the time, this incredible sexy man is like coming on to her. So she has a one-night stand with him and then leaves. But the thing is, she has left Kyan in a situation because she's his fated mate. And once an incubus finds their fated mate, they can no longer get fed off of other people's sexual pleasure. Only that woman's pleasure can feed him. Which it turns out, we learn like it isn't only sexual pleasure. You know, if he pleases her in other ways, it can also energize him. But it's just very interesting because he so doesn't want to like settle down and like be with her, but also he has to, or he will die. Like he will starve to death if he can't do that. So it's very interesting because Willow isn't interested in a serious relationship, and he's like, I can only have sex with you if I want to have it. So I guess we need to start dating to see if you like me, because we have to do it. So this is very interesting. And because they are fated mates, there is some sexy breeding scenes in this one as well. So good. So hot. I love Tiffany Roberts so much. Okay, then we also have Slang by Naomi Lucas. So in this one is one where the breeding scenes are not to make a baby. So this is one of the ones I wanted to say. And for being a monster romance, I think that's pretty rare because like all the other ones in this series are trying to make a baby, and they're successful sometimes as well. So this is part of the Naga Brides. This one is number 5. And the reason why the breeding kink in this one isn't to make a baby is that our heroine actually can't. Number 1, she is a bit older of a heroine. I think she's in her like 40s or so. Not like super old, but she has like had her reproductive things stopped basically. She has already had a child, and she isn't supposed to have more because of her job, so she isn't able to. So by the time like this book is taking place, our heroine knows about the Naga, knows what they're trying to do, knows these things. And when she gets face to face with this Naga, she is like, I'm not going to be the right one for you because I can't have babies. And like, that is what your drive is telling you to do. So like, you shouldn't be with me because I can't give you what your biology is telling you you need. And her sweet, precious Slang, which let me see what his name is because I don't remember it. Come on, I don't remember. Their names are very intriguing. As Sot. He is considered like a lot younger. So this is kind of like a reverse age gap, even though he's like a monster and the years that he's been alive are a little bit, you know, vague. It still is kind of like that because of her being an older heroine and like, you know, intelligent level. She definitely is an older woman in that aspect. But yeah, there's still some really hot scenes in this one, and they're not trying to make a baby. And look at this beautiful cover. I love the covers of this series so much. They're so beautiful. Okay, now we have some contemporary ones mixed in. So this is, which one should I do? Okay, this one is One Look by Lena Hendricks. This one is just a good old regular romance. This one is a nanny romance kind of. Also kind of having her like work for him. This is a football coach and he has his daughter. It's his daughter and him. And the heroine comes to this town to, actually she's paid to like be a fake mourner at a funeral. Which is kind of funny to me. And then she ends up sticking around. And so she ends up getting a job there that she's not really good at. And then there becomes this opportunity for her to be her neighbor's like nanny and even like coaching assistant in a weird way. It's interesting. So anyway, they start up this relationship between them. And there is a pretty hot sex scene in this where he's like, I want to put my like baby in you. But I don't know if they're actually trying for a baby now, and I can't remember because it's been a little while. I don't think that they are. So this one could maybe also fit for that. I'm not sure. But I know that this was listed for it, and I remember seeing that. So here's a contemporary romance that has some of it in there. Then we have we have two mafia romances to share. There is Grieved Loss by Adelaide Forrest. This one is book 3 or 4 in the Blondie Crime Syndicate. And this one is actually a young widow who has 2 little children. And our hero is a part of the Blondie Crime Syndicate. I think he's one of the enforcers for it. And he has been smitten with this heroine for years, even when her husband was still alive. And, you know, she didn't even have both of her kids yet. He's been watching her and looking out for her and taking care of her for all this time, just biding his time. And when her husband has now died, which our hero didn't have anything to do with his death, but it is fortuitous that he would die, he finally makes his move. Like, he gives her time to grieve, and then he's ready to make his move, which is not only taking her, but taking her kids, giving her kids everything they could ever hope for, and making her his woman. And that's what he goes about doing. So, and he really, really wants a baby with her, not just her 2 kids, but he wants one of his own as well. And so he goes about making it happen and not letting her use any birth control or anything to prevent it because he wants her to be having a baby. So there's that happening. Then there is Nero by S.J. Tilley, which this series has just been going bonkers for sure. I do have the second book. I need to finally read it, but I've just seen it all over. And I actually found this book when I went to the North Iowa Book Bash last year, or earlier this year. S.J. Tilley was actually there. So that was kind of cool to meet her and like get that book before all of this like blew up and everything. Like, I actually have a signed copy. I actually also love this because it takes place in Minnesota and they go to Fargo at one point to do a hit job. And so I just really loved it and felt very connected to this book in that way. But yeah, this hero actually sneaks in the heroine's room when he's running from the cops one night, or sneaks into her apartment. And then he becomes obsessed with her, and he knows that he should stay away because he's a part of the mafia, but he can't help it. And eventually he claims her as his and wants to make a baby with her, as we do in most of this. So there's that. Okay, then we have another one that they're not necessarily trying to make a baby. So there is Possession by A. Anders. This is a part of her Kink Camp series. I don't remember all the bits of this one too perfectly, but I think it is they are actually in like a marriage of convenience. And she actually has feelings for him, but he doesn't think she does for him. And he has always gone to this Kink Camp before, and she ends up going to it as well now and starts learning about all of his secret kinks that he's been hiding and deciding if she likes them as well. There are scenes where they do a couple scenes where like there's some like primal play where he's like hunting her down and getting her. There's also scenes where there's multiple people involved, but like he's the one orchestrating the scene, so they definitely do some sharing in this. And there is some breeding kink happening in that one where I think the guy, because the other guy is still like wearing a condom even, but the talk that is being said is like, I'm gonna let this other man like breed you or stuff like that. Like it's really kinky. It's the Kink Camp series, so there's that. But yeah, this one has some of that in it. So, and they're not trying to make a baby with it because it's obviously not from the man she's with. So there we go. There's one if you also don't want a baby to be being had. All right, then we have Take to Heart by Ashley Mack. This is currently this is like a standalone from her. This one is our heroine accidentally gets in a situation she shouldn't be in, and instead of like eliminating her, she is forced into a fake relationship with a bodyguard for this like famous woman. It's a whole thing. It's explained in the book a lot better. But she's forced into this fake relationship with him, and she's actually like pretty cool with all of it, and she immediately starts falling for her fake boyfriend and wanting there to be more, and he's just like, no, must keep her precious and pure and not corrupt her. But that doesn't last too long, and there are some super hot sex scenes in here. Ashley, being a reader herself, she puts the good stuff in there. So I highly recommend you give this a try. Try any of Ashley's books. She puts some good kinks in everything, but this one has some spicy birding kink in it. So there you go. And then the last one that I have to share is actually a historical. It is an erotic historical, and it is from SM La Violette, and it is called Their Master. So yes, this one is an MMF, and this one, we have our hero, Mr. Smith, who we've seen, if you've read any other books in this series, we've been seeing him the whole time. And he decided that he wants a child. He wants a child that he can love and will love him, because he's a bit neurodivergent. He's a little bit of, you know, maybe a sociopath or something like that. Not quite, but like he feels like one type of thing, you know. And so he wants a child that will love him. So his plan is to find a baby mama that he can pay to have the child for him, and then she'll still be allowed to be in the child's life, but like they'll raise it together. That's what he wants. He also has a manservant that he has a relationship with sometimes, and when this woman is brought into the home, which we'll touch on her in a second, that like makes the manservant like, it's really difficult for him until we get to the point where he gets invited to be a part of their family as well, and we love that. Now, our heroine in this one, she is basically bait for Mr. Smith. She's taught the things that he likes the most. She gets a job at basically a brothel where he frequents a lot, and she has made herself into like his ideal woman. And so her plan is to like entice him into being with her. Now, she has no idea that he's planning to find someone to make a baby with, but she's just trying to become one of his paramours so she can get close to him to get revenge for something. I won't spoil what it is. So when Mr. Smith ends up making her the offer to be his baby mama, she's like, oh my gosh, I literally will be staying in his house with access to him all the time. This is perfect. You know, but she doesn't quite want to have a child with him, but she's like, well, I could probably still get a few months out of this, you know, if I find a way to prevent conception, I'll be around for a while, right? So yeah, there are, I mean, pretty much every sex scene between the two of them is him trying to get her pregnant. But it's also weird because like he hires her for this job, but you can also tell she's like reluctant to get pregnant. So there's the things of like, she's agreed to this deal. So it's not like she hasn't agreed to be there. She has been a little bit coerced by the other people to be a part of the deal. So there is that. But after they'll like have sex, you know, her plan is to like, you know, try to make sure that she's not pregnant. And he like stays in her room the whole night, making sure she doesn't clean herself and everything. So there definitely is a bit of like, it has that aspect of maybe forced pregnancy, but also like she still signed up for it at the same time. So I don't know. So anyway, this one was nuts. Like, I love SM Love Violet. And if you're someone who likes erotic romance and likes a lot of the like mind games that can be played, this series is fantastic. And it's so diverse in the like sexual habits in this, the kinks that are in it, and it's also just a really interesting study of character. So I highly recommend you give this one a try, this whole series a try. But yeah, this one is the one that has some breeding kink in it. So there you go. Those are my recommendations for breeding kink. Let me know some of your favorites. Again, I do have another video for that one, so check that out. Also, if you want to buy any of these books that I've shared about, I do have links down below to my Amazon store for it, so you can get these ones. So thank you so much for watching, friends, and I'll see you next time.